What's up, guys? It's Ty with H24 Outdoors, and today I'm going to be breaking down September for you guys. It is the weather is perfect. Last weekend we were down into the 40s at night, so that water is getting right. I've heard from a few guys that a few lakes around here are on fire, and it's also almost hunting season, so you guys that hunt are going to be off the water. So the fishermen are going to have the water to themselves because the pleasure boaters are pretty much done for the year. Things are starting to look up for bass fishermen at the moment. The summer heat is pretty much gone. It's kind of staying in the 80s. So things are just looking up for everybody. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys. So September is pretty much a huge variable month, I'd say, as far as the weather, because I've seen some times where the weather is very cold in September, or not very cold, but consistently in the 40s at night. This September on the outlooks, it's not looking like it's going to be anything abnormal, and so 50s at night is kind of what you can expect. So that water temperature is going to be dropping, especially as these nights are getting longer. But I am fairly confident that the topwater bite is going to last a pretty good while into October this year. And so my first bait is going to be a spook. September and October are my favorite times to throw a spook. There's a small lake by my house that has just some deep water, some deep points. And this spook right here, the Strike King Sexy Dog, is a personal favorite for me. There's a few other brands that I throw, but the Strike King, I like to change out the hooks on them. And yeah, the Strike King Sexy Dog, just throw it over some deep water. It's a great bait for early morning because, like I said about the last video, there are just a lot of fish feeding up at night whenever that water's colder. And then once that hot sun comes out, they're retracting. And to go along with that, I've got just a white toad. You can use a horny toad. This is the net bait right here. And just for grass purposes, I like fishing grass in September, October. Really like going out to Lake Dardanelle. We had our state championship one year in October there, and the fish were keyed up in the grass, and a horny toad did it for me. I like to go with that white color just because these fish this time of the year are chasing the shad. And with chasing the shad, I've got a just a swim bait. This right here is the Mayor, and this is the TKO heads from Brazalo Lures. And this is just going to be a search bait, kind of like a midday thing, because right now the fish are moving around a lot, especially on those deeper lakes. These fish are just here, there, and gone. And so having a search bait that you can just throw on a spinning rod, bomb it out there, and then you can just find it. This isn't going to be a big fish bait. It can be a big fish bait, but typically this is just going to help you locate and find where these bass are grouped up at, especially out deep. I found that these swim bait, just the ball head swim baits, and these are just silver. I don't typically use color this time of the year, and that might just be a personal preference for me. But moving along, it's time again to break out these red eye shads. Just a red rattle trap this time of the year, and it might be a little early for this, but as September progresses and we get closer to October is when these crawfish are going to start changing colors. Um, and you throw the red in the spring, but in turn, you need to be throwing it in the fall. I found that red is just a great color. In all fairness, their their colors that they key up on are they're just such a broad spectrum. But I found that red rattle traps is just the later that you go get, and then once into sorry, I just had a seizure there. But once you get, once it gets colder, then that red is really going to shine. especially into the winter. If you're not throwing a red rattle trap in the winter, then I would highly suggest that you do that. And the last bait I've got for you guys is just a green pumpkin orange finesse jig. This one is also made by Brazalo. And these finesse jigs this time of the year are killer because when these fish are not moving, which a lot of time they are moving, but a lot of time they're moving from spot to spot. And so if you can find them grouped up on the bottom, this finesse jig right here, it does a great job at picking apart that school. And this one's not the heaviest, it's a 5/16 ounce, but I really like to have a lighter finesse jig this time of the year just because it doesn't really affect the fish as much. I feel like this time they're really finicky and jumpy, and whenever they're picking up a super heavy jig, I feel like sometimes they'll be more prone to spit it. So 5/16 ounce for me. I like to throw a Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl on that, but once again, that's just a personal preference. I'd probably throw something just with a little bit of kick, but not too much kick. But yeah, these are the five I have for September. Do with this what you will. This is not set in stone. And some of these baits, just keep in mind, are going to do better the later that September goes, because right now, even though we did have a pretty cool weekend last weekend, it's still getting up to about 90 during the day. So you just got to keep in mind that water temperature is just always fluctuating. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any video ideas, as always, comment those down below. Like and subscribe. Have a great day. Hopefully, you take these tips and catch some fish. And if you do, please comment that down below. So, without further ado, y'all have a good night. Peace, guys.